Welcome to the first of many of Opus's new line of master classes, where we take our absolutely wonderful IVS 360 techs and we get them out. We get them out in front of you guys, and we kind of talk about what we master in. I'm really excited to be kind of kicking this off. I think that Tesla is kind of something that's really growing in the market, and is it's something that you guys will all kind of be falling into here shortly. So I thought I'd dedicate an hour today kind of just talking about how to prepare your shop, whether that's with service documents, wiring diagrams, or getting your shop set up for the electronic parts catalog. Whether it's kind of a backside view of what I do as an IVS 360 technician to kind of show you through Toolbox. And then a last minute ad, I did add a little section on service mode that I'm kind of excited to run through with you guys, just so that you guys can kind of see what you can do on your own. Little background on me, Aaron Jones. I am the master technician for Tesla with Opus IVS. I am part of the 360 support team, which allows me to help everyone that's in this chat right now with their troublesome cars, or just even with their easy cars, just to kind of help them get through this and kind of work through whatever they're working with. The really cool thing is I also get to introduce you guys to all the other stuff that we are going to be doing really soon. So a couple of upcoming classes. The next one that we've got up is going to be hosted by probably one of the most incredible ADAS technicians that I've ever met. Victor De La Torre. He's out of our California office. If it needs to be calibrated, he's calibrated it. He's absolutely fantastic. So second Tuesday of March, we're going to be running a profitable ADAS service for the mechanical shop. We're going to talk about when to aim and calibrate, minimal tools that are required for aiming, a quick procedure overview. Then we're going to show you what the vehicle needs to be prepared for, the precautions and the environment that you need to start doing ADAS. We're even going to add in a little bit of a calibration demo for you guys, so you can kind of see what it looks like in the field and what it could look like for your shop. Next up, another stellar tech. Mr. Anthony is going to run through mastering Volkswagen electric vehicles and Audi e-tron. Now, you might see that there's a little bit of trend going on with what we're pushing and what we're teaching. And we really are going into kind of a heavy EV field right now, because I think it's super important and the next step in our aftermarket world. So when we look at what Anthony's going to be teaching, he's going to be running through like the e-Golf. He's going to be running through the ID4 and the other ID platforms that haven't yet been released. He's also going to talk about e-tron history, maintenance, the platforms. He's going to talk about platforms that haven't even come out yet as well. So that is going to be another fantastic class. I'm going to be sitting front row because I'm super stoked to learn from both of them. Great techs. I've learned a lot. But anyways, enough about them. Let's talk about me and why you guys are here today. So today's topics. We're going to kind of go from top to bottom, or excuse me, from bottom to top of what you saw on the website. We're going to start off first with Toolbox. Then we're going to go through a little bit of the cabling and where the cabling goes. We were going to touch on service documents and wiring diagrams before parts catalog, just getting access and subscription and kind of running through a few things. And then once we get into the parts catalog, I'm going to show you the application to get signed up for it. And then we're going to kind of just quickly walk through how to add things to your cart and what to look for. The last thing on our list is going to be service mode. And we're going to talk about what Tesla's onboard diagnostic looks like and what it can mean for your shop, and why is it so important that you guys are turning it on every car you work on. But let's get started with Tesla's diagnostic software. So Toolbox. We often call it Toolbox 3.0. So this is the second edition of the diagnostic software that Tesla's used. This first edition that we saw was a downloadable software that was really designed with the first generation Model S and the first generation Model X in mind. Well, as the car started to evolve and the processes started to get into a little bit easier, Tesla said that the 3s and Ys should run off of a web-based platform. And it really paid dividends. It allowed for service to kind of go and have a much broader reach. Right now, the service, the Toolbox 3.0 supports every vehicle, the S, the X, the 3, and the Y, new, old, anywhere in between. It does require a direct connection to the vehicle via a diagnostic cable. There's going to be 3 of them that we'll talk about a little bit later on. And this is the only thing that Tesla does have. You do have to purchase from Tesla. Everything else we talk about today will be free, which is pretty great in my books. But this is the one-stop shop. Test plans, calibrations, programming all happen on this website, along with the other host of just random calibrations and pingings and things that you'll never know you needed to know. Let's talk about subscription packages, though. The new pricing structure no longer has daily or weekly available options. Now it's monthly or annual. So for monthly, we're looking at about $500 a month. Annually is going to be $3,000. But in my opinion, there's no need to buy Toolbox. The IVS subscription is much cheaper than Toolbox. And it also has, it supports every brand that we support. So there's my shameless plug for you guys. But let's break down to the Toolbox software. It can be broken down to about 3 different parts: articles, actions, and dashboards. Now, I understand some of these slides are going to be a little difficult to read. I apologize about that. I'm sure Toolbox uses like an 8-point font. My zoom is constantly set at like 150, so it's really hard to kind of push what I'm seeing onto your guys' screen. So, but let's start with articles. The main purpose of the article is to present DTCs or alert information for you. Articles are going to have things like customer-facing messages, if it is a customer-facing alert. It's also going to have set conditions and clear conditions. Now, this is going to let you know why the alert was set and what you can do to make sure that alert gets cleared. So whether or not you can read it, this alert actually comes from our VCSec module. This is our vehicle controller security. It's gone MIA for some reason. Not 100% sure, but this could cause your vehicle not to drive or react to a key. So when you scroll down a little bit more in alerts, there may be some steps to test. There may be some steps to fix. Not all the time. It's kind of rare on just alert descriptions, but sometimes Tesla throws some stuff in there. What we're looking for are the possible causes at the bottom. And possible causes are going to come from tech tips. The other side of articles are going to be published technician articles of common or really off-the-wall issues. So for this one, we're actually going to hop into the article number 103900. This has got to deal with an aftermarket inline device that's causing that VSEC to go reset. So once you hop in, you're going to see that these are very technician pictured. They're technician taken pictures, which is a really cool thing about Tesla. They do allow for technicians to kind of build and produce their own articles. They get reviewed by engineering to see if there's anything that engineering can do to stop it. And then once they find that the article does have enough information to really help and support the technicians in the field, they'll go ahead and populate and present it to us. Now, looking here at this article, it looks like an aftermarket fleet monitoring system is the reason that the VSEC's resetting. And it's not necessarily because it's plugged into an OBD2 port, but it's because it's plugged into a generic OBD2 port that's actually used breaking a CAN network. So those 2 connectors you see down there actually go together and they make up the chassis CAN of the vehicle. Once you separate that and you put this kind of generic OBD2, it can cause a little bit of issue with the CAN bus. It can also cause a little bit of a red flag for the security controller. The article kind of just goes by and says, unplug it, plug everything back in where it's supposed to be. If you can start the car, then the problem's fixed. So articles can be a really good way to kind of look for something common in an issue that you've been fighting. Now, what we have next are going to be called actions. And actions are going to be your test plans. This list is going to have every test plan available, and they're going to be in alphabetical order. Now, one of the first things that you need to do when you set up Toolbox through Google Chrome, if you end up buying the subscription, is you're going to need to allow pop-ups because each of these test plans are going to be a pop-up. You can easily filter through these test plans by choosing the system or task type at the very top. There's also a search bar that will help you narrow down all your decisions. the thing with these vehicles is that test plans are communicated through a central gateway. So instead of going directly to a module or a motor, they go straight to the car computer as a Linux-based script, and then the car computer runs that action to the rest of the vehicle. So Tesla goes through Toolbox, runs updates and upgrades about once every 2 to 3 weeks. But they can also run hot fixes randomly throughout the day. That's the beauty of it being an online system. You may see some duplicate test plans. You may even see that those duplicate test plans fail. So just have some perseverance, run through some of these, and go and just kind of get your way through them. Now, running actions. So as you can see, they're pop-ups. Test plans will range from super easy to read and comprehend to the ones that the engineers just got done with and pushed to the public as fast as possible. So it is nice to kind of have a little bit of experience that I know kind of what to look for when we're running these test plans. And it's definitely something that you will gather the more and more that you use Toolbox. As you can see, maybe you can see, they do have a nice progress bar to kind of send us through the sent, queued, received, and finished. So with this test right here, we are running a heat pump thermal system test. These thermal tests are fantastic. And the reason for that is because they will run through every sensor, component, compressor, door actuator. They'll do everything for you in one test plan. The car will sound like it's about to take off. It sounds like a helicopter, but it does everything and it knocks out a whole thermal system for you in one shot. We don't really see these for other subsystems, but this is a great performance test to take if your customer is complaining about anything HVAC or coolant or refrigerant related. Once the system is done and the test plan is complete, you're going to get a routine completed. Now, with this heat pump system, that scroll bar is really big because it ran through every sensor and checked a whole bunch of things for us. But not all of your test plans are going to look like this. It may just say routine completed. It might just give you a check mark. You never really know until you've kind of gone the way through it. They also may fail. So they can fail because the test plan's outdated, it's been duplicated, or honestly, there's just something wrong with the vehicle. There's not always going to be failure reasons. So it may take a little bit deeper of a digging, a little bit more alert checking, a little bit more probing. Now, this one failed because I did a PTC connection test, so a positive temperature coefficient heater. It's a heat pump car, so it doesn't have a PTC. But when I look at like the failure data, it's just a bunch of raw data. That means nothing to me. And if you thought you guys couldn't see this picture, this is a screenshot of a screenshot. This actually happened to me the other day. I actually think this customer might be in the chat with us. So failure mode is ISO-TP error. This is an error with Python, the coding language, inside of a CAN interface device. Almost a completely different language to myself and a lot of technicians out there. And it almost kind of makes you think that Toolbox is broken, right? In this case, we found out that the ISO-TP error was coming from the corresponding module. We were trying to do some TPMS work, and we were trying to put the TPMS system into learn mode. Wouldn't go. I thought Toolbox was broken. We were kind of going back and forth. We did a module swap, and guess what? That ISO-TP error did not come back. So I show this to you guys because I don't want it to seem scary, but it also can sometimes seem a little out of our language. So it takes a little practice, but you guys will get it. Now, dashboards. Dashboards is a really cool subsection to Toolbox. It gives you a couple of different things, and it also houses a lot of information. Just starting at the top, you've got your radar calibration dashboard. Now, this is something that you're going to run through when you need to do a dynamic calibration of the vehicle's front-end radar. It's going to give you the test plans that you need to do. And it's also going to give you a step-by-step walkthrough of what you need to do when driving the vehicle. It also allows for you to continue using Toolbox off of Wi-Fi so that you can monitor your drive cycle with somebody else in the car, of course. Don't look and drive. We've got thermal and HVAC systems. This is a very important tab, especially as we get into like the newer Model 3s and Model Ys. You do have refrigerant and coolant valves that need to be opened and closed when completing like an evacuation, any kind of coolant repair that you need to do a purge or a vacuum test on, even heat pump commissioning or starting air purges. All of that's going to be found inside of our thermal and HVAC system. Now, you can find it in the Actions tab in that long list, but they put everything together for you to try and make these repairs a little bit quicker. RCM replacement and front drive unit replacement, these are kind of self-explanatory. It's everything that you need to do before and after replacing the restraint control module or the front drive unit. Now, as of 4 days ago, when I was typing up notes for this, infotainment dashboard meant nothing to us. As I learned today, plugging into a car, I guess Tesla did an update last night, infotainment dashboard is now available to us. And what this will house is configuration changes. So now we are able to, let's say your customer came in with a non-powered liftgate, and they now want to upgrade their liftgate so it's powered, which usually requires a vehicle configuration. So we now have the opportunity to change certain configurations on the vehicles so that we can do aftermarket upgrades. It's going to be your liftgate. We can upgrade the TPMS system. So if they go from a Baylong to a Continental, and they're also going to have, trailer hitch. So now we can configure them for trailer hitch. So that's really great. It's a huge step. It's going to be a really cool way to start aftermarket upgrades. But service tools is kind of where we're going to go next. And this is going to be our section for DTCs, alerts, camera calibrations, and clearing. First thing that you're going to see when you get into the service tools are going to be your vitals. It's going to be a super important thing to use when you are ordering parts, diagnosing vehicles, trying to just locate a component and know if it's on the vehicle. So all vitals is going to have your configurations of the vehicles, but it's also going to have a smidge of live data. You don't really need much live data with these vehicles. So the only thing that really going to present to you is your 12-volt voltage. That's kind of important when you're diagnosing. But this is also the best place to find the birth date of the vehicle. So this car was born Sunday, September 6, 2020 at 8:10. I don't know if that's AM or PM, but in the car world, I don't think that matters. But yeah, trying to figure out if the car has autopilot, if it has a Baylong or Continental. Everything is going to be listed in this configuration. Now, if we scroll up a little bit from this, we're going to see alerts. In the Tesla world, service alerts before DTCs. Now, the vehicles do have DTCs. Most of them are going to be supplier-based, though. Some of the older vehicles, before Tesla kind of really got in and started building their own alert system, still will use DTCs to help diagnose stuff like a Bosch steering rack or an airbag module. Nowadays, everything that we kind of need to use to diagnose and find further is going to be found in alerts. And alerts are pretty simple. They're going to be, of course, they're manufacturer specific, but they're all going to be put up here in our active alerts. Now, when we talk about alerts, they're going to have different audiences. So 4 different types of alerts. And when I say audiences, I kind of mean what the alert is important for. So we're going to have factory alerts. These alerts are really meant for factory engineers or end-of-line techs. So when you see factory, you can kind of ignore it. Service alerts. Service alerts are going to be for information purposes, or they're just really not that important. The 2 that we care about in the diagnostics and in the fixing world is going to be service fix and customer. So if you can read these, we have a service fix and we have a customer alert. Service fix are going to be diagnostic alerts that need to be repaired. Customer facing alerts are going to be alerts, and they're also going to show you what the customer saw. So that bottom alert, it says VC front A451, refrigerant not commissioned. And then in parentheses, it's going to say refrigerant system decommissioned, HVAC limit, run heat pump commissioning routine to resolve. Everything in those parentheses are actually going to be presented to the customer, whether it's going to be on the instrument cluster for a Model S or X, or on the middle console for for 3 and Y customers. Tesla's alerts are pretty basic. It's going to be, so let's take the first one, for instance. VC front, that's going to be your reporting module. A356, module specific code, refrigerant system lockout. It's just a quick description. So not too much to kind of decrypt, but what you would do is you would copy that alert and you would take it back to your articles and you would paste it. And that's where we would see those alert descriptions that I was showing you earlier. Now, the one thing to know about alerts is you cannot erase alerts. They're not like DTCs. Well, they're kind of like DTCs, just permanent DTCs. That's why it's kind of important to know the clear conditions if it's there. So you need to know what has to happen to the vehicle before they will go away. In this case, I commissioned the heat pump and the alerts were gone. All right, so that's the Toolbox interface. Now, let's talk about how you're going to use it. You are going to need some cables. In my mind, there's 3.5 cables. I'll explain why there's a half here in a second. This one up here we have is the one for the Model S and the Model X. Now, it's going to be a rounded 4-pin connector to Ethernet. It starts its journey at the central display. It goes through the autopilot ECU, and then it's going to pop out at a set location that we'll talk about here in just a second. This one was used from 2013, starting with the Model S, all the way up to about 2021 when the Palladiums were released. The Model 3s and Model Ys, they're going to use a flat 5-pin connector that only really uses 4 pins. It's going to be 2 channels of CAN communication that go directly from the car computer all the way back to where these connectors pop out under the dash. Now, February 2022 to present, this is for the Model S and the Model X, the Model 3 and the Model Y. I think Tesla kind of got a whiff of standardization coming. And what I mean by that is now every car can be diagnosed just using a Cat5 cable. So there's that. Now, here's that half a cable that I was talking about. From launch of the Palladium, which was June of 2021, to about February of 2022, Tesla had not quite figured out the data speed or data language that the Palladium was going to kind of produce. So what their fix was temporarily was to take the cable from the vehicle, run it through a media converter, set up the media converter in such a way that it actually produced the data that Toolbox needed for you to connect and actually use Toolbox. And then Toolbox would take the data, run it through the media converter, and then spit it out. It was the Google Translate for the vehicle. Tesla got rid of it. February of 2022 is where we actually see them split into using a Cat5 system. And Tesla's come out and said they're going to try and fix this with a hardware retrofit. Now, the reason that I don't stress these so much is that there weren't a lot of cars sold at that time. It's also an $800 kit. So if you and a couple of other shop owners, technicians, whatever, wanted to kind of go in and throw in $100 and just keep one floating around shops, that might be useful for you. But if you wanted to kind of dive in, it's a hard pill to swallow, especially when I show you this wonderful deal that we have. Now, are you looking for your one-place stop shop? All right. Opus has a cable bundle. This includes the Model 3 and Model Y cable, the Model S and the Model X cable, a 25-foot Cat5 cable. It also has an adapter, so if you wanted to take the Model S cable and make it a little bit longer, you can put that together with that Ethernet or that Cat5 cable. We also have a J2534 to 12-volt connector, and this is to kind of help keep the Drive Pro not necessarily charged, but alive when it's being used in the vehicle. It's a great deal. I've shopped around for these cables. These cables range anywhere from $30 to $45 a piece, and they often have to be shipped from overseas. So shipping on top of all of just getting these cables are hard to do. How do you get them? Two easiest ways. Reach out to someone you know at Opus, whether that's your sales guy or your IVS tech. They'll either get back to me or they'll get to the sales team. Or you can call 877-945-6442 and choose option 1 for sales. This will get you directly to someone who can get you this cable bundle in your hands. Usually, we have them in stock. They ship out quickly. And you have to at least have the diagnostic cables to get the 360 support. Without those, I can't even get into your Drive Pro. So take a second. Everyone write down the number. You can also Google the number. And we'll get you guys some bundles set out. So now let's talk about where these cables actually plug into. So for a very small period of time, August 2014, so that was the cutoff date, and the Model S came out in 2013. You're going to find this diagnostic cable at the very end of your your dashboard. There's going to be a little D-shaped trim piece. You just take a pry tool over there and you can pop it out. Now, the best trick that I can teach you guys about this one is, where is the turn signal located? If the turn signal is located below the cruise control stalk, it's going to be located, your diagnostic port is going to be at the end of the dashboard. If the turn signal is located above the cruise control stalk, then it's going to be located underneath the MCU. So what you do with that cubby is you put both hands inside of it, and then you push down. So it's going to be held on by 2 clips, and those clips just pop out, and then you can pull that cubby out. Once you do that, you'll see the cable underneath there, and you'll be able to hop right into it. For the Model 3 and the Model Y, it's going to be in the generic OBD2 port location. Now, it's pretty easy to find, driver's side kick panel. And for the Palladium S and X, it's going to be located right underneath the main screen. You just pop down that little trim piece and it will be right there. So, Toolbox is done. Now let's talk about all the free stuff that you guys need to know so that you can start working on these cars. The beautiful thing is everything is online. You can travel with it. You can take it with you. No need to lug books around. I'm going to show you a few important websites. Like I said, everything is free to the public. So we're going to talk service repairs. We're going to talk wiring diagrams, bulletins, EPCs, and DIY guides. So first up, we have service.tesla.com. Now, this is where you create an account and you buy your subscription. It shows up as $0 for 365 days. Once you've done all that, you're going to find a landing page. Each model will have its own landing page. We just so happen to be on the Model 3. So everything that you see up there is free to the public, except for one thing, and that is theory of operations. I cut my hand off. Theory of operations is only available with those who have a Toolbox subscription, which luckily enough for you, I have one. So if there's a subsystem that we're really trying to dig in and figure out, make a ticket. Reach out to me. Let's dig in. Let's see what the theory is and see if something can't help us fix it. But we are going to start off in the service manual. I've always loved Tesla service instructions. They're super easy and they're pretty straight to the point. So once you're in on the left-hand side, you're going to see that they're going to give you just a table of contents of what you're looking at. And then once you choose a subsection, they're going to give you a little bit more of a parts explosion so that you can see if you're in the right part of the vehicle. So today we're going to go through thermal management. We're going to look at replacing a valve body on the super manifold. Couple of things. I know this is probably extremely hard for you guys to read. I just kind of want you to see the quality that they do put into their repair instructions. So before the instructions actually even start, they're going to show you the FRT. So replacing the valve body on this is going to be 1.55. Thing to know about Tesla, they pay their techs hourly. So they don't have warranty repair times and customer pay repair times. It's all the same around the board. So when you see an FRT, it is an FRT. They do a really good job at showing the CAD designs. I guess I could just say CAD pictures. And they try to show you all the tips and tricks that they learned when they wrote these instructions. So you'll see some service instructions that are new, especially on newer vehicles, that literally start from get inside the car and turn it on. It is every single step. You're going to look at it and be like, this is a 900-step procedure. As time goes on and as engineers have more time to look at these instructions, they cut them down and you start to get these really pretty pictures of what we have now. The other thing that's really important inside your service instructions is it's going to tell you when to use Toolbox. Toolbox can be used at the beginning of a repair, at the end of the repair, or heck, sometimes even in the middle. So when you're quoting a job or you're checking repairs, this is a really good time to kind of stop and heck, maybe reach out to me and let's do some repair planning. Let's make sure you've got any special tools necessary. You've got any kind of refrigerant, like make sure you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 YF if you need it. And kind of get prepared for you and the customer. And we can set some proper customer expectations on how long the repair will take and what you need from them. So I always recommend reading over the service instructions first, because that way you can kind of get your foot in the door and know about what you're talking about before the customer walks in. All right, that's it. Service instructions are easy. So let's head over to wiring diagrams. Like service instructions, I've always thought wiring diagrams were very easy. They kind of resemble refrigerator wiring diagrams. Pretty simple and to the point. This is where it becomes really important to have the customer's birthday of the vehicle. So what we're going to do is you or the customer can open the front door of the vehicle. And at the top left-hand corner, there's going to be a production date. It's going to be month and year. Or we'll hop into Toolbox and we'll check it on our vitals page. Once you have that, you're going to see that Tesla kind of breaks down their wiring diagrams by the production date. A lot of things changed. They try to take things out. They try to make things easier. So as they do that, they will update and change the wiring diagrams. Now, circuit diagrams are going to be where the wiring diagram is located. Connector reference is going to have any information that you need about that connector. So, quick tech tip. When you do find the production range, go ahead and right-click and open a new tab for both circuit diagram and connector reference. I myself have opened up July and January look very similar to me. So I'll open up a July 11th, 2018 vehicle and accidentally open up a January connector reference. And most of the time you'll be fine, but that one-off time you'll lose your butt for the day trying to chase a connector that really wasn't there. So when you get there, this will be your front page. Now your front page is going to have a lot of good information for you to kind of just peek over. Mainly your wire colors and also your harness designators. So if you're looking, let's say it's an F. An F is usually going to be front fascia. Y is front seats. And then I'm trying to remember what subframe is. I'm trying to see if I can see it in that picture. N is front subframe. So if you're just trying to get a general location of what you're looking at, you'll be able to see it in the diagram. The other cool thing about these are all PDFs. So you can save them to an external hard drive, and then you can start doing some work offline with it. Now, once we get into it, we're going to start digging for some connectors. We found what we're tracing after, and we need a little bit more information of where we're going. So, starting off, X185A. Now, this is our connector name. If you look at the diag ETH side, now this is just that pin out for the service connector. X185A-1, pin 1 through pin 4. So they try and label it out really nice for you. Once we do go into connector reference, it's going to give you a general location to try to point it out with an arrow as much as possible. So as we can see with this one, it is located on our driver's side underneath the dash. Now, the other thing that this is going to give you is it's going to give you serviceability information and pinout diagrams. So as we can see, pins 1 through 5, but we can also see the color of the wires, where they're going. And what I think is a really cool portion that I'm really glad that they ended up giving us is they will give you the terminal part number, and they'll also give you the connector part number. So you could take this 8100-3623, throw it into Google, and it helps you just do an OE wiring repair. without kind of having to rely on like a depinning or a repinning kit from the manufacturer. And then it's going to give you the size of the wires as well. So you can kind of just order everything mainly from Google and have it whenever they could show up next day or something. But it's cool. Use it. Love it. Wiring diagrams are fantastic. Next up, we're going to talk about the EPC, the Electronic Parts Catalog. So this is going to be epc.tesla.com. Once you get there, this is going to kind of what it looks like. You're going to use the same login information through all of these. So through Toolbox, through EPC, and through Service, all the same account information. Now, I personally think that the parts relationship between Tesla and the aftermarket world has always been kind of the downfall to their service and their aftermarket team membership. Before, it was just that Tesla blew up so quickly that they did not have time to prepare their suppliers, and the suppliers didn't have time to make all these parts for all the cars they just sold. So that really staggered and spread out the parts team and people just coming up off the street trying to purchase parts. So you can no longer buy parts at the front desk. Now, if you have an in with your Tesla dealership and you know an advisor and you buy them Chick-fil-A lunch, they might be able to slide you something. But for most of us, we need to submit an application. And the application seems like it might stink, but this allows for direct shipment from a parts distribution center. And it is also going to be like our refund platform. If any of you guys have ever had to work with a service center, they're understaffed and overworked. So it is really hard to get in there. And they all mean well, but it's not the greatest relationship with the outside world. So as far as the application goes, they're going to ask you a couple questions. They're going to want to know your company name. They're going to ask for some pictures. They just want to make sure that you're an actual location and not someone's house like me. They're also going to ask you for insurance, like proof of insurance. They just want to make sure that you have some type of coverage in case someone is injured or hit while delivering parts. And it doesn't fall back on Tesla because they were the main reason that carrier was there. Once you submit this, it usually takes about 4 to 10 business days for them to go through your application. And then they respond back to you and they'll give you access. It's a snap of a fingers for them to just check yes. Now, when you do get access, there's 2 ways to kind of dive into the parts catalog. As of right now, as of what I found out with all my playing, you still have to have a VIN to order parts. Now, this VIN doesn't have to be the vehicle. It could be a vehicle off a Copart. It could be a vehicle. It could be your car. The only reason I'd say tread carefully is if you are looking for something kind of specific, it may end up be that you're just in that VIN break where you need a different part number. But if you're stock ordering kind of like cabin filters, desiccant bags, wiper blades, the only thing is it has to be the VIN of the same model. So you can't use like a Model S VIN to buy Model 3 cabin filters. But if you just wanted to hop in and take a look at parts and part numbers, you can just do the product and choose the model. Super easy way to kind of just hop in and do that. Set up just like service manuals, almost. You got your table of contents on the left-hand side, and then you got your breakdown in the middle. So once you're in, we're going to find the parts that we're looking for. This time I'm looking for a super bottle assembly. Coolant reservoir cracked. I got some coolant everywhere. I need to replace the whole thing. In here, what we can see is we can see the part name, the part number, and what we're kind of looking for is sales restriction. The reason that we're looking for the sales restriction is because we want to make sure that we can purchase it. Now, I know this says no over-the-counter, no VIN needed. Unless I'm doing something just completely wrong, I couldn't put it into a cart without the VIN. Now, things that may be restricted or Tesla only are going to be high voltage components, structural components such as quarter panels or crash cans, or other random things. I don't really have a rhyme or reason behind why they're restricted. I think it's more of just Tesla needs it for production. Once it's in the cart, you'll kind of see, hey, my super bottle assembly was on back order, but my Model 3 window regulator wasn't. Now, what you can see with the window regulators, they actually had a substitute part number if I wanted to switch it up. Unfortunately, there wasn't one for the super bottle. Now, one question I have been getting, can I change my part distribution center? Unfortunately, at this time, you are where you are. So mine would be Atlanta, Georgia. The other one that's really popular is usually Bethlehem. So you kind of get the option of one or two of those. Now, once you place order, they'll calculate your shipping and they'll send you an invoice. In here, you'll get a tracking number, and you'll get the ship date, delivery date. They try to keep you on board as much as possible. Now, back to this. If it says it's on back order in Atlanta, Georgia, what Tesla does is they usually overnight or next day the part from another distribution center to Atlanta, and then Atlanta will ship it to you. Now, if it's on internal back order, we may not see this change, but there is a little letter at the bottom left-hand corner. You can just reach out and see what we're kind of expecting. As far as EPC, that's all I've got for you guys. The other website is toolbox.tesla.com, but you guys aren't going to use it. IVS 360 subscription, it's cheaper. It's better bang for your buck. Brandon Matthews, who's in the chat with us, best BMW tech in the world. So you get him as well, along the lines of a million other great techs. So last thing, before I take some questions, I want to run through service mode with you guys. Service mode was just recently released back to the public for the vehicles, and it's fantastic. Now, there's different levels of service mode, and service mode is going to be Tesla's onboard diagnostics that they kind of give us for free, but there's varying levels. So Model S and Model X with MCU 1s, this is going to be 2013 to like March of 2018. They are going to have the lowest level service mode. Really, it's only going to be used for service alerts and for redeploying software. Now, as we get into MCU 2s, you get a little bit more features, and then Model 3s and Model Ys and newer S and Xs have the most features. Really cool program. Why is it important to turn on this every vehicle that gets dropped off at your service location? Couple of reasons why. First off is it turns off mobile access. Now, this isn't because we're shady or we're hiding anything from a customer. This is because your technician could be working on the vehicle, and the customer could decide to open the trunk, turn on air conditioning. There's a lot of customer controls that they'll have from the app side. Now, the other thing that they can do is they have a live view of all of their cameras from their mobile app. So just for the safety and security of your technicians in your shop, it's better to have mobile access turned off. The other thing it's going to limit speed to 7 miles per hour. Now, this is toggleable. You can turn it off for test drives, but for around the shop and parking lot driving, it's good to keep it on just to keep you and your team safe. Now, to enable service mode, first you're going to go to the little car menu at the bottom left-hand corner. Sorry, my finger's in the way. And then you're going to go to software. Once you're at the software tab, you're going to press and hold the name of the car. So where it says Model Y, press and hold that until you see a little halo come around your finger. Once you do that, you'll get a dialog box. Type in service. It'll hit you with another one like, hey, are you trained? We're all trained. Hit enable. Now you can see that the vehicle has been put in service mode. Model 3s and Model Ys will have this red border. Model S and Model X will say service mode in the background. From this landing screen, you can see the VIN, the autopilot computer. This one actually has an Intel Atom processor, not the Ryzen. It gives you the odometer, and it also gives you the Carver, which is the current software level. Couple of quick buttons that you see in the middle of the screen. It's going to show you active and recent service alerts. It's going to show you service fix, customer, or if you want, you can see all of them, but they do filter it out a little bit easier for you on here. They also give you the option to do a software reinstall. Now, pop back to a better screen. You can also see down the middle, you've got a bunch of different options. So driver's assist, thermal, closures, things like that. Some of the really important ones, and you guys really take your time and play with this. This is a fantastic mode. The first one up is going to be driver's assist. This is great because it pings all of your cameras and all of your park sensors and lets you know that they are in use. Green means good. Well, red means bad. That's pretty easy. But it's also a great way to reset the driver's assistant module if you need to. The next important one is going to be your thermal mode. So this is where you can set the vehicle for the thermal and the coolant fill and drain. So one problem with this is I see start. There's start on this submenu. I don't see stop. And you do have to command the car to stop. So until that's fixed, if you want to get it started and continue your job, reach out to me. I'll stop it through Toolbox. The other thing that you see through here is coolant air purge, which will run your pump so that you can bleed your coolant system. You have your heat pump commissioning that you have to do anytime you take it out of fill and drain. But there's also your thermal performance test in here. So if you wanted to run a quick thermal before, really diving deep into your diagnosis, you can do it from here as well. Last thing that's kind of important through here is the very last tab, which is like actions. If you did an alignment, you can reset the steering angle sensor from here. If you wanted to do a wiper replacement, it puts the wipers up in service mode. It also gives you the option to do a home link retrofit. So if your customer wants to upgrade to a garage door opener, you can do it through here. And this was kind of put here because it's such a simple process that customers were doing in their driveway. And when you're ready to exit, you'll press and hold exit service mode, and it'll take you out of there. Guys, that's all I had. That's all I have for you. I just want to reiterate one more time. We've got some fantastic classes coming up for you guys. Profitability ADAS service for the mechanic shop. Victor, he's going to blow your mind. He's going to teach you things that you never knew about ADAS. That is going to be March 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to drop some links in the chat to some sign-up pages so that you guys can get signed up for that tonight before spots fill up. And then Anthony is going to blow our mind with what Volkswagen and Audi have been doing with their EV platforms and what they are going to be doing with the EV platforms from here on out. So with that being said, I still have about 10 minutes. I'm going to slide this monitor or this page to this monitor so I can answer some questions. One second. Technology is fantastic. All right, so just running through the chat. GS, does it use deionized water with the coolant antifreeze? It's a fantastic question. They use the G48, G42 coolant that BMW and Volvo uses. Can I hit this over here? It looks like all the questions in the main chat have gotten. All right, I can do this, guys. I can work on cars. I can work on computers. What else do we got? I got a question about what about module data? Is that available? Certain parts of module data is available. Really, when it comes down to what we can do in the aftermarket world, we can kind of ping communication. Now, if you wanted to break down, like, if you're looking for more like who produces the module, where can I get the module and stuff like that, a lot of that you're going to have to do kind of by yourself. Tesla doesn't really hide manufacturing stickers. They're kind of proud of using other people. So that's a good place to kind of find that as well. Can Opus unlock pin-locked cars if purchased from auction? Yes and no. Majority of the time, a good factory reset will take care of that pin, which you'll have access through service mode, but doesn't always work. It's always worth a shot. Igor, I don't know if I necessarily understand the question. Tracy, thanks for the compliment. One thing I did forget to mention is that this service is available on Drive Pros at this time. just because Drive Pro actually has the capabilities for me to what I need, what I can use, and what I go through. So those with Blue Boxes and Assist Plus, there was that sales number earlier. Always give them a shout. Thanks, Tim. It's weird. My Siri went off. Sorry. Cool. All right, guys. Well, hey, if you guys have any more questions, 360 customers, feel free to reach out. Everyone else, I'll see you when you become 360 customers. All right. Oh, Jack, does the lack of access to Tesla Garage limit diagnostics and repair abilities? So, for those who don't know, Tesla Garage is a one-page, it's about 5 pages now, but it's an access that internal Tesla technicians have to the vehicle that allows them to do things remotely and check configurations remotely. So it doesn't, Jack. It just makes it a little bit more difficult, just a little bit more time consuming, to be honest with you. So Igor, the car still runs off of CAN and LIN systems. It's not all Ethernet. The only thing that we're using Ethernet for is the direct connection. I don't know if that helps. Brandon or Dwayne, if one of you guys are in here, can you throw the links in? Oh, I don't know if you can or if I have to. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'll get the links in for you guys so you guys can get signed up. I'm glad you guys can't hear, but my laptop is about to take off right now. Where do you find labor times for repairs? So you're going to have 2 different places that you can do that. Oh, pardon me. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry for this delay, guys. Like I said, my computer, I think, is about 5 seconds away from having a thermal event. All right. So you guys want this link? And so that is the, oh, man, Brandon already got me. All right, so Brian, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. You can find them in service instructions, but also on the landing page of that from service.tesla.com, there will be a link for FRTs. And they'll have most FRTs printed out. Just Control F and look for what you're doing. The only thing I would say is don't save that because they update that weekly. We got anything else for me? I'm not even at 8 o'clock yet. Yep, 6 more minutes of questions you can hit me with. Well, cool. If nobody has anything else, I'm going to leave the room open for just another 4 minutes in case anything slides through. But thanks everyone for being here. Like I said, please don't miss your chance to learn some stuff from Anthony and from Victor. Watching Victor work, it's fantastic. Oh, New Zealand. Well, welcome in, Igor. Brandon, this is recorded, so I believe. Hey, Peter, I believe that this will be available to you guys on YouTube. I do believe it might go up, so you guys can check it out in the future. Thanks for stopping in, Tracy. All right, everyone. Well, hey, have a fantastic evening. I'll catch you at the next webinar. Vernal, you can catch myself. I with Opus, I teach through WorldPack, through their online webinar systems, but also through Opus. I kind of travel a little bit, so you might be able to catch me at an expo, and I do an 8-hour session on these. All right. Well, let me get us all closed out. Everyone have a fantastic evening. Until next time.